Hey, I'm Caleb Giddings, marketing manager for Rossi USA, and today we're talking about three of my favorite guns that we make. Now, I am a well-known revolver enthusiast. I'm a masterclass revolver shooter in the I-Core Classic Division and IDPA, and I love the Rossi Revolver lineup. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, we have three guns here, and we're going to go over each of them a little bit. Then we're going to go over each of them in more detail. We're going to start with the smallest one. This is the Rossi RP63. It is a 3-inch revolver chambered in 357 Magnum, and unlike a lot of other guns in this format, it holds 6 lovely rounds of 357 Magnum or 38 special rounds. It has fixed sights. This gun, the ones that I've fired, the sights are regulated 458 grain rounds, so those heavier bullets will hit to the tip of the front sight. Like all the Rossi revolvers, it is a traditional double action, single action revolver. So you can fire it in double action mode, or if you wanted to, you could pull the hammer back and fire it in single action mode. I will say this, as someone who is a staunch advocate of only shooting double action revolvers in double action, these Rossi guns have such great triggers that they tempt me. They make me want to sin and shoot it single action because it is a really, really good trigger. Now, the defining feature of the RP63, other than obviously its 3-inch barrel, is that it is a round butt gun. This gun is very clearly designed for concealment. These are the factory grips, and you can see how, because it tails off like this is going to conceal more naturally, whether it's at the appendix position or a traditional IWB position, than you would get with, say, a square butt. The RP63 would be my choice out of these guns for an EDC option, again, because it is small, it is compact, but you get 6 rounds of 357 Magnums or 38 specials. And I'll say this as well, thanks to the all-steel construction of this gun, while I certainly wouldn't want to shoot 150 rounds of 357 in a single session out of it, when I'm running something like the Hornady critical defense load, the critical duty load, which is loaded a little bit lighter, it's not terrible running 357s out of this gun. But from the 3-inch, if I was using this as a carry gun, I would stick with 38 specials. Now, that's not the case when we move up to my favorite gun in the lineup, the do-everything, the all-around, the Rossi RM64. The RM64 changes from a round butt to a square butt grip frame, which it shares with the RM66 as well. Perhaps by now you figured out that the last number in the model name indicates the length of the barrel. Good job. In all seriousness, though, I love a 4-inch 357 Magnum revolver, and the RM64 fits into that same niche that was occupied by some of the smaller S&W revolvers back in the day, the great K-frames, the Model 19s. It is a 6-shot 357 Magnum revolver, but the overall format of it isn't so aggressively large that you couldn't carry it. I have actually used this as an EDC gun in a traditional behind the hip holster, and I think it's really great in that role. But the nice thing about a 4-inch 357 Magnum revolver is you can kind of do a little bit of everything with it. I could load this with very, very hot 357 Magnum rounds and use it as a hunting gun. I can load it with light 38 specials and use it as a target gun thanks to the adjustable sights that it shares with its 6-inch brother. But ultimately, there's nothing that you can't do with a 4-inch 357 Magnum, and that's what makes the RM64 my favorite in the series, because it's just good at everything. I love it. I think it's a great gun. But what if I want a little bit more? Well, that's where the RM66 comes into play. And you can probably notice that this one's dirty. Why is it dirty? Because this isn't some show gun that I grabbed out of the factory. This is my gun. I've shot this in matches. I've zeroed it. I've done work with this gun because I wanted to know how well this would shoot if I was going to set it up and run it at, say, Bianchi Cup or run it in the I-Core Classic division. With a 6-inch barrel on this, you now get the best benefit of those hot 357 loads. You could legitimately take white-tailed deer with this. This could be your hog gun. This could be a backup gun if you're hunting something and you're using a rifle as your primary. This could be your go-to. You'll note that both the RM64 and the RM66 have this rubber grip. I have found that even with my somewhat larger hands, especially for a guy my size, that this grip actually fits very well. And what it does, it is allows me to get two hands on the gun in such a way that I can get north-south pressure so that my support hand is both on the front of the gun and also comes in behind the back strap of the gun a little bit. That's beneficial when I'm running full power 357 Magnums because it gets me the most meat on the gun that I possibly can to help manage that recoil. Now, I talked a little bit about the single action trigger. Just how good is it? Well, let's watch how little movement there is when I pull this trigger to the rear. And it goes off just like that. This single action trigger on this gun is set at about 2.5 pounds. It is unbelievably light. It's dang near telepathic. If you wanted to shoot this in single action, I have no doubt that you could squeeze some really impressive groups out of it. Now, I actually prefer to shoot these guns in double action, which is made easier by the wide target trigger that all of the Rossi revolvers have. Whether it's on the RM66 or the RP63, this wide trigger face allows me to get deep on the trigger with my trigger finger so that I can run it a lot faster in double action and more comfortably than I would if I had a thinner serrated trigger. While serrated triggers look lovely, they are not great for fast double action shooting because they'll catch your finger, they'll tear the skin off your finger, very unpleasant. What you want to run these guns fast in double action is a smooth, wide trigger, just like the Rossis have. A couple of other fun features on the Rossi. Again, the RM66 has adjustable sights, just like the RM64. These guns are approximately the same size as a K-frame. They use Model 10 or K-frame loaders. So if you have 6-shot loaders for Smith & Wesson Model 10s or Model 19s laying around, each one of the Rossi revolvers will use those loaders, which is great for me because I have a ton of those loaders laying around, so I didn't need to go buy a bunch of new Safariland Comp 3s when I got these guns. The front sights on all three of these guns are interchangeable. There's a number of aftermarket options out there. For target work, I like the black blade that comes on the RM66 and the RM64. If I was going to do something a little bit more action oriented, I would probably switch those out for something that had a little bit more contrast, like a fiber optic front sight. The Rossi revolvers all have very reasonable MSRPs. The RM66 retails for only $636, which means your street price is probably going to be under that 600 mark. The RM64, again, my do-all favorite of the bunch, a mere $606 MSRP, and the RP63, $470. These are fantastic deals at that price point. If you look at a revolver of comparable quality from one of our competitors, you're going to be paying close to double what you would pay for one of the Rossi series of revolvers. To me, these are just a fantastic choice for someone who's looking to get into the revolver game and get into a quality gun without breaking the bank. It's hard to argue with the timeless combination of 357 Magnum, 38 Special in a good, medium-sized double-action revolver. And that's what you get with the Rossi revolvers.